international speedway action here on Screen Sport. And along last, we get into the great action of the Swedish Elite League, and we have the final 4 rounds for you coming up on Screen Sport. But this week, we're at the picturesque setting of Västervik, who take on the mighty Mariestad team, who are pushing for honours in the 1991 Swedish Elite League. Well, of course, both sides, looking at the league table now, have different meanings. One of them is, of course, Västervik, just 4th from the bottom on 9 points, and they're in 2nd place, Mariestad, on 13 points, 1 behind Kumla. And of course, that local derby you'll be seeing later on in our series here on Screen Sport. So plenty to fight for in the Swedish Elite League table, and just look how close it is at the top, just 2 points separating the top 4 clubs. Kumla top, Mariestad 2nd, Stockholm 3rd, and Gotland, the tiny island in the Baltic Sea, there in 4th place. So there we are, Västervik in 5th, Vetlanda 6th, and Halstavik 7th, and Eskilstuna holding up the pack in final position. Well, the league table looks like that. We'll bring you some great action, starting of course with this one, and Västervik sadly short of riders due to the injuries to Todd Wiltshire and Craig Boyce, but there we are, they're 1 to 8. Jörgen Johansson 1, Joachim Karlsson, who we recently saw on the Nordic Under-21 Championship. The rider replacement facility covering for the injured Todd Wiltshire at 3, Jörgen Holmgren at 4, Michael Olsen 5, and Thomas Holgren at 6. We turn then to Mariestad, the visitors here to Västervik this evening. Calvin Tatum at number 1, of course, one of their import riders. Michael Karlsson 2, Nicholas Karlsson 3, Lillebor Johansson, the veteran, at 4, Peter Karlsson 5, and Nicholas Klingberg at 6. And just look, Rick Miller, the American ace, down at number 7 at reserve. And what a triumph, the trump card he could be. So that's the 2 sides. Let's go straight into action then in this meeting between Västervik and Mariestad with heat number 1. So then the scene is set here in Västervik as we go into heat number 1, which features Jörgen Johansson, Joachim Karlsson, and the 2 for Calvin Tatum and Michael Karlsson, and the tapes rise, and heat number 1 gets underway, and the first one to show is yellow black Michael Karlsson, but coming underneath we have a faller in red. Jörgen Johansson is down. Jörgen Johansson was a faller on the first turn. We have to wait and see what the referee is going to do. At the moment in time they're still going, but at long last the lights come on, and we wait to see what the referee's decision is on that one, whether it's going to be first bend bunching or whether we're going to see an exclusion as early as heat number 1. Well, the Swedish Elite League is a different format to that in England or any other league, and there we see the red light is on for the exclusion of Jörgen Johansson. So 3 riders only for the restart of heat number 1. So coming into the line, Joachim Karlsson there in blue, the lone rider for Västervik, and the formidable pairing of Calvin Tatum in white and Michael Karlsson in yellow and black, who featured prominently as they went into that first turn in heat number 1. So poor old Joachim Karlsson, who we recently saw, of course, in Copenhagen on Screen Sport in that Nordic Under-21 Championship. A lot rests on his shoulders, and this, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you, is the widest speedway track in Europe here in Västervik. So the pace is going to be fast and furious as the tapes rise on the restart of heat number 1. And away they go, and yet again Karlsson gets a good start, and Karlsson's there. Joachim Karlsson heads the pack at the moment. Tatum 2nd, Michael Karlsson 3rd, and this would be one hell of a scalp for Joachim Karlsson, who is catching several promoters' eyes with his enthusiastic riding here in Sweden. And of course, in that Nordic Under-21 Championship, the Swedes didn't have the best of fortunes with engine failures and fall. But just look at the start of this rider. Todd Wiltshire and Craig Boyce have come back to England and said, keep an eye on this young fella. He's got a lot of enthusiasm potential in the years ahead. Sweeping around these bends here at Västervik and looking set to get 3 points if he can stay literally out of trouble. Joachim Karlsson leads in blue, still Calvin Tatum behind in 2nd place, and Karlsson's going to get there, there's no doubt now. Joachim Karlsson comes up to take the win with a wheelie. Joachim Karlsson wins. It's Calvin Tatum strolling over in 2nd place, and Michael Karlsson back in 3rd place. So there we are, a lot of Karlssons tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but don't be fooled, it was Joachim Karlsson who wins for Västervik, and heat number 1 is drawn 3 points apiece. So we move swiftly into the action then with heat number 2, which sees Jörgen Johansson in red, Jürgen Hultgren in blue, Nicholas Carlson in white, and Lillebo Johansson in yellow and black. So that's the way they line up for heat number 2. Just to recap, 3 points all was the score in the opening race. Still all to ride for, with Vestavik just above the relegation zone, but they would dare not get amongst the points. And for Mariestad, a vital away win is needed here in Vestavik to keep that challenge on Kumla at the top of that Swedish Elite League action. We'll be telling you later on in the programme just about the meetings coming up here on Screen Sport as we bring in the climax to the Swedish Elite League Series, and this is heat number 2, and they drive from the start. And the first to show is the rider in red, Jürgen Johansson. Coming underneath him sweetly is Nicholas Carlson for Mariestad. So Nicholas Carlson drives to the front. Coming back round him in red is Jürgen Johansson, and there's not a lot between them, and just look at Johansson go. Nicholas Carlson at the moment knows he's got a puddle on his hands. So it is Nicholas Carlson who leads. Second place still is Jürgen Johansson, of course, the faller in heat number 1, coming in for a rider replacement outing, replacing the injured Todd Wiltshire. Rider in blue, Jürgen Hultgren, safely in third place. So another drawn heat looking like here in Vestavik, with one more up to go in heat number 2. Still it is Nicholas Carlson, who made an appearance for the Swedish national side last year at reserve in the second test match against Denmark at the Ullevi Stadium. He comes up to collect 3 points. So 3 points to Mariestad, 3 points to Vestavik. And it was Nicholas Carlson who wins heat number 2, and a good ride from him, holding back the challenge of Jürgen Johansson. So 3 points all, and the progressive score stays locked together. It's 6 points to Vestavik and 6 points to Mariestad after heat number 2. So we move sweetly into heat number 3. There we see the former Swedish champion in white for Mariestad, Peter Carlson. He lines up along with Nicholas Klingborg in yellow and black, and the 2 riders for Vestavik is Michael Olsson in red and Patrick Olsson in blue. So that's the way they line up for heat number 3. Scores locked together, as I say, 6 points apiece, so still all to ride for. Oh, the starting marshal calling them in. On goes the green light. The tapes rise, the bikes roar into that bend. They all go, it's very close, but it's Michael Olsson who leads at the moment. So Michael Olsson leads for Vestavik. And it's the Mariestad pair of Klingborg and Peter Carlson in the minor places. But it was a great first turn by Michael Olsson in red, which keeps the Vestavik flag flying. And they're not doing too bad at the moment, considering they're 2 riders short. Craig Boyce and Todd Wiltshire, the 2 import riders. Patrick Olsson trying to make up ground. But it's Michael Olsson that heads them at the moment. Tall, lean fella, no relation to Tony Olsson. So Michael Olsson still leading in red. Coming under now, a bit of pressure from Peter Carlson, of course, the former Swedish champion, and now he mounts a challenge. We're on the last lap, we're down the back straight for the final time. And can Peter Carlson do anything? Cuts underneath him. It's going to be a race to the line, but it's going to hold on from Michael Olsson who gets there. Second place, Peter Carlson. Third place, Nicholas Klingborg. So heat number 3 is yet again drawn. 3 points to Vestavik and 3 points to Mariestad. So still they're locked together. Nothing to separate these 2 sides. But it's Michael Olsson the winner of heat number 3, and it's 9 points apiece after the 3rd race. So there we see Rick Miller in white, and what a Trump reserve he could be for Mariestad. Stefan Ettberg in red, Michael Peterson in blue for Vestavik. Rick Miller white, and Thomas Olsson in yellow and black. That's the way they line up for heat number 4 here in this meeting. And as I say, with the scores locked together, anything to ride for, but we have to say that Rick Miller should be favourite for this particular run. A great ambassador for World Speedway, made a great debut in the World Final last year, you may recall, exclusively here on Screen Sport. Live coverage of that World Final at the Odsal Stadium in Bradford. Sponsored by, of course, Sonic Communications in England. Rick Miller lines up in white in gate number 3. So let's see what happens then when the tapes rise on heat number 5. On heat number 4, should I say. And away they drive from the start. And the first on the show is yellow and black. Thomas Olsson is there. Rick Miller cuts underneath. Stefan Ettberg, and he's there to join his partner. So, looking good at the moment for Mariestad. It was Thomas Olsen who raced from the start. Now he looks over his shoulder to see that his partner is there with him, Rick Miller, who I'm sure is going to guide him through. So Rick Miller team riding with Thomas Olsen for what could be a very, very important race for them. Velas Strom, the team manager of Mariestad, said that perhaps the reserves would be a little bit stronger for Mariestad, and what his words could be very, very true indeed. The reserves then of Thomas Olsen and Rick Miller lining up together to get their first point, their first heat success here over Stefan Ekberg for Vestavik. Well, the final lap and the checker flag, and there's a 5-1 heat advantage to Mariestad in heat number 4. And there was Rick Miller and Thomas Olsen. Thomas Olsen getting a check, but it is a 5-1, and they get a 4-point advantage, and that's the result after heat number 4. So welcome back to the peaceful setting of Vestavik. The spectators baked in sunlight, and the action is fast and furious, with just before the break Mariestad getting their first breakthrough on heat advantages, a 5-1 should I say, to Thomas Olsen, and Rick Miller pulling them in front by 14 points to 10 after Vestavik had kept in contention. So we now move into heat number 5 of this Swedish Elite League action, Vestavik versus Mariestad, and still a lot of questions to be answered, but it looks like the two reserves for Mariestad are going to have a big say in the outcome of this Swedish Elite League meeting. So there we see the two Olsen boys, Michael and Patrick for Vestavik, and Nicholas Carlson and Lillebor Johansson for Mariestad. So a lot of questions to answer in this one. The two younger Olsen boys up against Nicholas Carlson, who's a bit of a formidable character, especially experienced in this travels. But Lillebor Johansson, he's been around a long time in Speedway circles, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying that. So we move then into the gate, and this one could be a crucial one to see if Vestavik can get back into the fray, as it's said. So the riders then settle. Starting marshal calling them in. Watch for Nicholas Carlson in white from the outside, but the two Olsen boys have made it, but Carlson swoops round the pack, and we've lost the rider in blue, Patrick Olsen, who's a faller and looks to be in some considerable pain. Let's take another look in slow motion, and oh, it was his fellow teammate, the rider in red, Michael Olsen, who goes and takes his front wheel away, and down goes Patrick in an untidy heap. And we keep our fingers crossed that he's okay. The machine being picked up by the track rakers here at Vestavik, and we keep our fingers crossed, I say, and there he is. He's on his feet, which is good news. But whether we just see him lining up, well, that's going to be first benching, or whether his own teammate is going to be excluded, we'll have to wait and see. Well, one or two facts and figures about Vestavik. It is, as I've already told you, the widest track in Europe, and you've probably seen by already the captions, there's plenty of room to go inside or out on this one. And it's also the birthplace of tennis ace Stefan Ekberg. So there we are, Clive Fisher keeping you informed on just all the facts and figures about Vestavik on the south-east coast of Sweden. So the referee saying all 4 back for the restart, which I think was a wise decision, although Michael Carlson will feel a little bit lucky to be back in this race. So Michael Olsen in red, Patrick Olsen blue, Nicholas Carlson white, and Lillebor Johansson yellow-black, and underway they go for the restart of heat number 5. And it's first to show for Michael Olsen in red, who leads, so Michael Olsen leads. Second place and third, the pairing for Mariestad, Nicholas Carlson now comes down the outside of Olsen. Has he got it? It is, he's done it, Nicholas Carlson is there. Michael Olsen was caught with his trousers down, so to speak. Yellow-black, Lillebor Johansson holding on to what could be a very important third place. So Michael Olsen still in second place, and he had made the trap, he'd made the start. But Nicholas Carlson came round in sweet style to take pole position. And what an important race victory this could be. So a 4-2 advantage at the moment. If it stays this way for Mariestad, which will extend their lead. Come around the front of ends, it's Nicholas Carlson who's going to get the checker flag. There's no doubt about that. Second place in red is Michael Olsen, and third place is Lillebor Johansson. So yet another heat advantage, and the pace beginning to tell for the injury-strewn Vestovic side. And there we see the 6-point gap between the two sides. It's now 12 points to Vestovic and 18 to Mariestad, and a very good win from the back for Niklas Karlsson in heat number 5. So Joachim Karlsson comes out for a rider replacement outing in heat number 6. And Jörgen Holtkun in blue, Kelvin Tatum in white, and Michael Karlsson in yellow and black as the tapes rise. And Joachim Karlsson leads at the moment from Kelvin Tatum. Tatum goes in the outside in the dirt, and it is Joachim Karlsson is there. His partners come through to join him. Holtkun is there as well. Kelvin Tatum having not life his own way, and the two Vestovic boys are showing true grit here in heat number 6. Joachim Karlsson leads, Holtkun in second place, Kelvin Tatum third, and this is one hell of a shock, it's fair to say. Michael Karlsson still back in 4th place, but the boys from Vestovic are holding the two key positions, and the crowd are really cheering them on here in the sunset of Vestovic on the southeast coast of Sweden. And just look at this, Joachim Karlsson go, still in pole position. Holmgren coming under pressure from Kelvin Tatum. Holmgren now coming round the final two bends of what can only be described as a great skill for him. He comes up, he takes a win. It's Joachim Karlsson who wins. More importantly for Vestovic, his partner in blue, Jörgen Holmgren, gets second place. And Kelvin Tatum has to be content with third place. So a 5-1 heat advantage to Vestovic, and it's now 17 to Vestovic and 19 to Mariestad, and a good win for the rider in red, Joachim Karlsson, in heat number 6. So there we see Kelvin Tatum having a machine pushed back to the pits, but he didn't have life all his own way, and it was a great scrap and a great ride by the two boys from Vestovic. Kelvin Tatum just telling his mechanic just exactly what's going on there, but he will be the first to admit that the Vestovic boys proved too powerful on that occasion, heat number 6. So heat number 7. It looks like a change with Rick Miller coming into the fray in white. Rick Miller in white, Thomas Olsson in yellow and black, and the reserves for Vestovic, Stefan Elkberg and Michael Peterson in blue. So that's the way they line up for heat number 7 of this Swedish Elite League match here in the sunshine of Vestovic. Starting marshal's happy, the green light goes on, and away they drive from the start, and the blue rider is left at the starting tapes, but it's Stefan Elkberg who holds them back bay at the moment. But Rick Miller drives underneath him, but he can't do anything on that bend. So Stefan Elkberg leads. Rick Miller now trying to come up round the outside of him. Elkberg knows he's there. Rick Miller still in second place, 1 lap gone. Now Miller trying the inside line, and down goes Rick Miller in an untidy heap, but he'll be a little bit upset with life on that one. So Stefan Elkberg still leads, and that really has cost Mariestad dearly, and Stefan Elkberg has got just a little bit of breathing space in the sunset here at heat number 7. So the red helmet colour shows off Stefan Elkberg who leads. Second place, and behind him is Thomas Olsson for Mariestad. And Rick Miller will be cursing his luck because he was surely set for 2 points at least, but his challenge was perhaps a little bit too early. But it's Stefan Elkberg who wins. Second place in yellow and black, Thomas Olsson. So there we see a 3-2 heat advantage, and it's 20 points to Vestovic and 21 points to Mariestad. And let's now have a few words with the fallen rider Rick Miller at exactly what went on in heat number 7. So we see then the track action is Rick Miller tries to come up on the inside of Stefan Elkberg, and down he goes. So let's have a few words then with Rick Miller, exactly what went on heat number 7.
What happened in that heat? You fell, why?
Boy, it was a silly mistake on my part. I was much faster than the rider that I was chasing, and he was looking for me down the front straight and looking to put me wide, I think. So I thought I made a good move by cutting inside of him, and I turned real hard, and at the same time he was turning, my rear wheel was just about to touch him, and I pulled it down. It was a sort of a novice mistake on my part. I just had a bad crash recently. I'm just sort of coming back from that, and well, I had 4 laps to sort of pass him. I didn't have to do it on the first lap.
Yeah. But I mean, if you hadn't put it down, you would have certified. That would have been a certified crash, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, I might have come off bad, but he would have certainly come off worse.
Yeah.
And well, it was a silly mistake on my part. I should have just waited and taken my time a little bit more. I don't think he's as good as I am, so I should have taken my time and passed him a little bit cleaner. I just tried to do it too fast.
Join us for more Speedway after the break. Back to Vestavik, who are just 1 point behind the high-flying Mariestad side. 20 plays 21 in Mariestad's favour. Before the break, we heard from Rick Miller on that crash. And it's nice to know that Rick's okay, especially after that bad crash in that test match against England for the US today at Oslo Stadium recently. So we move on to heat number 8, which is Jørgen Johansson. In red, Joachim Karlsson. Blue, Peter Carlson. In white, and Nicholas Klingberg in yellow back. That's where they line up for heat number 8. 20 playing 21 in Mariestad's favour, and away they drive from the start. And the first to show is Peter Carlson in white. Peter Carlson in white, Jørgen Johansson in red, and Joachim Karlsson in blue in third. And now coming under pressure, and Klingberg has come through to third place, which is bad news for Vestavik. But Mariestad fans will be delighted with Peter Carlson's sweet start into that bend he drove, and really now it is up to Jørgen Johansson to see if he can mount a challenge. Joachim Karlsson, who's been very, very fast so far this evening, is back in 4th place. But all eyes are on the former Swedish champion, of course, who rode last season in England for Wolverhampton. Didn't have too good a season, unfortunately. And the Swedish Army looms for him at the moment. But the stylish character is Peter Carlson. Heavily sponsored by Partex, the cabling marketing system in Sweden. Now being chased still by Jørgen Johansson in red. Nicholas Klingberg, just out, Jørgen Johansson come up to make a challenge, and Jørgen Johansson has come through to take the flag. What a great ride by Jørgen Johansson in red to snatch victory literally out of the claws of defeat. Peter Carlsson, the first one to shake his hand, and that was one hell of a speedway race, and congratulations there to both those riders. But it was Jørgen Johansson who gets the flag, coming around Peter Carlsson on the final bend. So 23 plays 24 in this speedway match, and there we are, 23 for Vestavik, made up so far of Jørgen Johansson. That spectacular race in heat number 8. He's got 5 points. Joachim Karlsson also on 6, doing very well in that pairing. Jørgen Hogdrun, he's on 3. Michael Olsen on 5. Patrick Olsen failed to score so far. Stefan Ekborg on 4, and the other reserve failed to score. 4, Mariestad, Calvin Tatum 2, Michael Carlsson 2, Nicholas Carlsson on 6. Jørgen Johansson 1, Peter Carlsson 4, Nicholas Klingberg on 2, Rick Miller 2, and Thomas Olsen on 5. They're on 24 points, just holding the lead by 1 point. And now we move into heat number 9 of what so far has been a cracking match here at Vestavik. So 23 plays 24, and heat number 9 is next on the agenda with the 2 Olsen boys, Patrick and Olsen for Mariestad, and Calvin Tatum, for Vestavik, and Calvin Tatum and Michael Carlsson, of course, for Mariestad. So the pace is getting fast and furious, and these 2 Olsen boys have certainly looked very lively, although for poor old Patrick it was a fall last time out. Brought down, of course, by the other Olsen boy. So 23 to Vestavik, who, it has to be fair to say, have been up against it with the 2 injuries as Todd Wiltshire and Craig Boyce. Todd Wiltshire out with a very damaged arm, and Craig Boyce with a broken foot, both Australian. They're 2 import riders. And for Mariestad, they have the luxury of Rick Miller, who's going very, very well at the moment, barring that injury, of course, but he's riding well, and he's at reserve, which could be a trump card. So heat number 9 then. 23 plays 24, and the tapes rise, and into that turn they all drive, and it's Michael Olsen who leads, but Calvin Tatum comes round the outside of him. So Calvin Tatum with a sweet manoeuvre in white leads from Michael Olsen in 2nd place. Michael Carlsson back in 3rd, the brother, of course, of Peter Carlsson, who came 2nd in the previous heat. So Calvin Tatum looking good then for his first win of this meeting. The wide open spaces here of Vestavik. 2nd place is Michael Olsen, and Michael Carlsson back in 3rd place. So is this going to be a 4-2 heat advantage to Mariestad? to increase their lead. We wait and see, but Calvin Tatum looks as though he's got his machine problem sorted out. Still Michael Olsen in second place for Vestavik, and Michael Carlson third for Mariestad. So heat 9 looks to be another good one for the away side. We're into the final lap, round the final two bends, and English international Calvin Tatum comes up for the win. He gets the 3 points. Second place is Michael Olsen. In third place is Michael Carlson. So heat advantage by 4 points to 2 to Mariestad. And there they just slightly increase their lead. It's 3 points between the two sides. 25 to Vestavik, 28 to Mariestad. And Calvin Tatum, the winner of heat number 9. So heat number 10. And after this one, we'll be calculated out to see what riders will take their part in the final outings, and I'll tell you all about that later on. It's a different format in Sweden. Michael Olsen coming out for 2 on the trot, rider replacement for him. Peter Carlson in white for, and Nicholas Klingberg both for Mariestad. And away they drive from the start, and the first one to show is Michael Olsen, but coming underneath him is Peter Carlson. Peter Carlson leads. Peter Carlson drives around the pack there, looking very, very sharp indeed. Second place in red still is Jörgen Hodgren in second place. Carlson looking over his shoulder, the audacity of this rider. He knows exactly what's going on behind him. It's more importantly to see what his partner's doing. They're 3 points up here in Vestavik, but it's Jörgen Hodgren who's holding second place at the moment, coming through. Michael Olsen to put pressure on the other rider now as he split him. He's gone underneath. This is Klingborg. Klingborg coming back on him. That's where the battle lies for third and fourth place. And we're now moving into the latter stages of heat number 10 with Peter Carlson leading. Coming down the back straight. Still in second place is Jörgen Hodgren. And it's just Nicholas Klingberg holding on. And it's Carlson that wins. But more importantly, his partner is in third place. So another 4-2 heat advantage for the away side. 27 place, 32. Peter Carlson getting the good victory, but more importantly for him, Nicholas Klingborg was in third place. So 27 place, 32 in Mariestad's favour. And we now move on to heat number 11. So heat number 11, which could be a vital say in the outcome of this meeting. So the gap is widening slightly in Mariestad's favour, and it's fair to say with all of a sudden Calvin Tatum coming to form, it could be a very, very difficult match for them to pull back now. Joachim Carlson is in blue. His partner is Jörgen Johansson in red. Moving into the start, little boy Johansson is in yellow and black. Starting marshal calling in the tense look on their face. Up go the tapes and away they drive, and it is Joachim Carlson who's there in pole position, and a straight start from him. But more importantly, Jörgen Johansson is there with him for Vestavik. Is Carlson aware of what's going on behind him? He looks over his shoulder, sees he's there, and no doubt these two will team ride. Joachim Carlson, for a youngster, now waits for his partner Jörgen Johansson to come up and join him. This is going to be one hell of a race if they can hold on and get a 5-1 heat advantage. And this will bring the scores very, very close indeed. Joachim Carlson on the inside, Jörgen Johansson on the outside, and they're team right into what we hope for Vestavik fans will be a 5-1 heat advantage and bring this meeting back into the nail-biting climax we all hoped it's going to be. Swedish Speedway, one of the finest ambassadors for World Speedway. And here we go then with the two riders coming round, and it's going to be a 5-1 for Vestavik. And it is Jörgen Johansson who wins. And more importantly for Vestavik, Joachim Carlson is in second place. So a 5-1 heat advantage to the home side. 32 place 33. And let's have a few words then with the Swedish team manager, Werner Strum, for Mariestad, to see if they can still pull it out.
Vad håller du på med, Werner?
Kolla läget.
Fixar ni det här?
Det gör vi helt klart.
Det menar du?
Jajamän.
På de sista 4 heaten?
Det ska vi göra.
Det måste ni, va?
Ja, det är inget snack om det.
Men det är en svår bana, alltså vad är problemet?
Ja, i och för sig, man får inte skylla, man åker lite, man får inte skylla på att man växlar bort sig. Däremot så har vi väl haft lite otur. Vi har haft 2 stopp. Här Kelvin rasade sin motor och den gick alltså inte i första hitet och rasade i andra, va? Det är några poäng som saknas där.
Ja. Det är så pass tajt så det kan räcka.
Ja, det kan det göra. Men okej, vi ska väl avgöra här i reservhitet förmodligen här. Och sen ska det räcka hela vägen, får vi hoppas.
So there we are, Vänerström with his thoughts on the meeting so far and his feelings on the track. And he says that the reserves race, the next one on the agenda here, will have a big say on the outcome of tonight's meeting. Well, we'll see if Vänerström is going to be right as we look for heat number 12 here in Västervik. And it is Stefan Alkberg in red, Michael Peterson in blue, and of course Rick Miller in white, and Thomas Olsen in yellow and black. And Rick Miller looks down at his machine, but he comes through sweetly to take second place. A great second bend manoeuvre by Rick Miller to come through to join his partner. So Rick Miller now through to second place with Thomas Olsen, who's there as well for Mariestad, and this is good news for them. And Vänerström is going to be a right man, I think. He chose the right words with his interview with Tommy Randers to say that heat number 12 is going to have a great bearing on the outcome of this meeting. So it is still the Mariestad pairing of Thomas Olsen and Rick Miller. Rick Miller, of course, who fell last time out. And one we thought would cost Mariestad dearly, but they're now beginning to put a little bit of daylight again between them. And our Mariestad now finally going to kill off Västervik. We'll have to wait and see. They fought magnificently, Västervik, in this meeting, considering there without 2 of their top riders. But it is a 5-1 to the away side from Rick Miller and from Thomas Olsen. And that puts them in the driving seat here in Västervik with 3 heats still to go. 33 plays 38 in Mariestad's favour. And join us after the break for the conclusion of this Swedish Elite League action. So welcome back to the electrifying atmosphere here at Västervik in Sweden for the climax of this fabulous Swedish Elite League match between Västervik and of course Mariestad. At this moment in time, Mariestad doing very nicely indeed, but Västervik trying desperately hard to get back into this meeting. Bearing in mind they're short of riders, then they're doing exceptionally well this evening. Next on the agenda is heat number 13, which features the riders which finished 5th and 6th in their team in point scoring at the end of heat number 10. The riders that finished 3rd and 4th will feature in heat number 14, and the top 2 from each side will feature in heat number 15. It's a bit complicated, but we'll show you all about it throughout the course of the next few weeks here on Screen Sport. But here we have Stefan Ekborg in red, Patrick Olsen in blue, Michael Carlson in white, and Rick Miller in the yellow and black for Mariestad. So 33 plays 38. This is heat number 13. Away they drive then from the start and into that turn they go. And it's Michael Carlson who's there, but just like Rick Miller coming round the outside of the pack to join him. Carlson looks over his shoulder to see that Miller is there with him. And when you think this young Carlson boy's not very old, that was a great manoeuvre on that first turn to wait for his partner. Now Miller's there with him, and all of a sudden Mariestad are beginning to assert their authority on this meeting. So Michael Carlson on the inside, Rick Miller on the outside in that order. And a 5-1, surely, if they can stay out of any trouble or any falls. Rick Miller's already had one of those, and he certainly won't want many more of those. So, Michael Carlson on the inside. The Sonic Communications American star on the outside. And they're doing the biz for Mariestad's calls here, who have been under tremendous pressure early on in this meeting by a very, very spirited Västervik side. Patrick Olsen back in 3rd place. But coming round to more importantly get the 5-1 for Mariestad. It's Rick Miller that gets to win. Michael Carlson in 2nd place. And way back in 3rd was Patrick Olsen. So 5-1 heat advantage to Mariestad. They increase their lead now. It's 34 points to Västervik and 43 to Mariestad. And here comes Nicholas Carlson out onto the track to give Rick Miller a pat on the back. Congratulations, Rick Miller, and to Mariestad, who now increase their lead. Can Västervik come back? Heat 14's next. So the pace getting fast and furious as we wait for the 4 riders to come out for heat 14. Jörgen Johansson in red, Jörgen Holmgren blue, Calvin Tatum white, and Nicholas Klingborg in yellow and black. So, can Mariestad come back into it at the moment in time? it's looking a lost cause. They've already really dropped out of it, but they've got to hope for some engine failures and some problems. They're more than 8 points down, which they can't win, but they really would try and get back into it if they can. And on the inside is Jürgen Johansson, who spears from the tapes. Calvin Tatum tucked in behind him, going to be assured of no mistakes. That's what really Maristad have got to do. They've already clinched this match if they can just stay out of trouble. Riders to finish. Rider that finishes in minor places was all they need. And Jürgen Johansson is looking pretty good, and I must admit, he's one that's caught the eye here, along with Joachim Karlsson. Two riders from Vestervik, and it has to be said, not only on this occasion but all season, if they'd have had a full strength side with Craig Boyce, who's been out of action for them since, of course, that bad injury sustained in the Commonwealth final on June the 2nd at Kings Lynn, while riding the individual world championship. And of course, Reid more recently, Todd Wiltshire out of action as well. We're on the final lap of heat number 14. So there's Jürgen Johansson looking set for 3 more points for Vestervik. Tatum looking down at his machine, but he's holding on to second place, which is very important for them. But it is Jürgen Johansson who comes out to take the win. Jürgen Johansson wins. Calvin Tatum second place. And in third place was the rider in the blue, Jürgen Hogdun. So a 40 advantage to the home side, Vestervik. That just about means 38 to them and 45 to Mariestad. So it means Mariestad have already got the victory assured to them. But it was a good win for a rider who certainly has caught the eye, Jürgen Johansson in red in heat number 14. So 38 plays 45, and we now move on to heat number 15, which, as I already told you, features the riders who finished top 1 and 2 in the both sides, Vestervik and Mariestad. It's a complicated formula, but it certainly works very well. It means, of course, the top riders compete in the final housing. So for Vestervik is Joachim Karlsson and Michael Olsen. Joachim Karlsson in red and Michael Olsen in blue. For Mariestad, Nicholas Karlsson is in white and Peter Karlsson in yellow and black. 38 plays 45. And this, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is heat 15. Into the tapes they come. Tension mounts. Starting Martinet calls in. Let's just look at this rider here. Joachim Karlsson is the tapes rise, and away they go from the start. And it is the yellow and black. Peter Karlsson is there. Peter Karlsson takes the lead. The two Vestervik riders push out Nicholas Karlsson very, very wide indeed. So Joachim Karlsson and his partner are holding fourth position. Michael Olsen are holding the minor places. Can Nicholas Karlsson come between them for Mariestad? And just look at Nicholas Karlsson come underneath Joachim Karlsson to get second place. It's all action, all swings and all change here. Nicholas Karlsson come through to third place. So Peter Karlsson leads, Joachim Karlsson second, Nicholas Karlsson third, and of course will be another Karlsson in fourth place, mightn't it? A commentator's nightmare is the Karlssons here in heat 15, but there's no doubt about the one who's going to win. It's the former Swedish champion, Peter Karlsson, who gets the 3 points. He wins! Second place is Joachim Karlsson in second place. Third place, Nicholas Karlsson. And fourth place was Michael Olsen. So there we are, the final score after heat 15 of this Swedish Elite League match, the first to be seen here on Screen Sport. Vestervik ends up on 40 points, Mariestad on 49, and Peter Karlsson and Nicholas Karlsson going round for a round of applause from this very patriotic crowd here at Vestervik. So Vestervik end up on 40, and they're the two riders that really have shown tonight. Jürgen Johansson and Joachim Karlsson. Johansson on 11, Karlsson 10, Höglund 4, Michael Olsen 9, Patrick Olsen 1, Ekborg 5, and Peterson ends up on 0. So it was Jürgen Johansson and Joachim Karlsson who really did the point scoring, and Michael Olsen also weighing in with some useful points. Total for Vestervik, 40 points. Let's then take a look at the victorious team tonight. That is Mariestad, and they're 1 to 8. Calvin Tatum ends up on 7, Michael Karlsson 5, Nicholas Karlsson on 8, Lillebo Johansson 1, Peter Karlsson on 10, Nicholas Klingberg 3, Rick Miller 7, and Thomas Olsen 8. So just as Venus Strom, the team manager of Mariestad, was saying, the reserves will play a vital part, and they have indeed 15 points from Miller and Olsen from their 2 reserves. Their total, 49. So congratulations to them, and we take a look then at the results from round 11. Vestervik 40, Mariestad 49, Kumla are held to a draw by Stockholm. Kumla 45, Stockholm United 45. Gotland 66, Eskilstuna 24, Vetlanda 53, Halstavik 37. Then that means on the league table, which stands as follows, and just look at those top four teams. Kumla on 15, Mariestad 15, Gotland 14 and Stockholm 13. They'll feature strongly in the remainder of our series. Vetlanda on 10, Västervik 9, Halstavik 7 and Eskilstuna holding up the pack on 5 points. So there we are. Join us next week when, of course, it's the big one. Mariestad versus Kumla, and that will be a real cracker. So all remains for me to say is on behalf of Tommy Randers and Transmission and TV Media, this is Clive Fisher as always saying good night and God bless from Västervik.
Och slutligen som nummer 8, Thomas Olsson, blott 17 år och har varit en